Hi everyone, this is discussion question 4. What challenges do adolescents face today that are different than what we faced? I don't think this is much of a surprise, but I would choose social media. I was born in the 80s and I went to middle school in the early mid 90s. I didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have constant communication with our friends or people around us all the time. If we talked, it was at recess, on the playground, a little bit after school before our parents picked us up, and if the stars aligned and we were both on AIM at the exact same time. It was different than today because obviously when I was a kid, people would talk about other people and sometimes you wouldn't even know. You'd never hear the gossip. Now it comes out of your mouth and hundreds of people know about it. Social media is such a great platform. It can spread awareness. It could spread information that you need to spread social justice or awareness of what is going on in the world that you might not otherwise have access to. But it's also constantly bombarding us with messages that are not helpful, that tell us what we need to buy, who we need to be, what we need to look like. Before, when I was a kid, it was like you compared yourself to the other kids in your school, or if you went to a football game, you'd compare yourself to the other kids on the other side. Now it's like, someone in California is comparing themselves to someone in Russia or in Brazil, or just there's so many more ways to torture people. Bullying was like limited to, again, recess, the cafeteria. After school, when you're on your bikes going home, it wasn't. Now there's so many ways of torturing each other that just were not possible before. So I think that's very different, and it's both good and bad. I can look back and say that we were sheltered, but in such a great way. I'm so glad that I wasn't exposed to that. I mean, we still struggled with body image issues and wanting to be accepted by our peers. Like, those things haven't changed. But there's just so many more ways of doing that and feeling that and being pressured and just so many messages coming at you all the time, which just wasn't the case before. I think if I could share one piece of advice, it would be don't trust your feelings and hold on to truth. That I don't think that necessarily has to mean, I would hope that it would mean biblical truth, but I mean just any truth. Knowing that you could feel sad and you can feel lonely, but knowing the truth and knowing that I feel sad and lonely right now, but I don't always feel sad and lonely. And just because I feel it right now doesn't mean that I'm actually alone. So I wish somebody had told me that when I was going through it, right? So I think that's what I would say, is just don't trust your feelings and really hold on to your truth. The 4 parenting styles are authoritative, which is demanding and in an effort to control a child's behavior. Authoritative, which provides structure and direction and places appropriate expectations of mature behavior. Permissive parenting, which is accepting, affirmative, and tolerant of their children's behavior. Punishment is really limited, and they're self-reliant, explorative, and meant to be self-sufficient. Neglecting, uninvolved style is exactly what it sounds like. I think for myself, I was raised with authoritarian parents, My father said no to literally everything. I've come to understand now that I'm older that as misguided as it was, as harmful as it was to grow up that way, he did it, I think, out of just wanting us safe, wanting to keep us safe. And he thought safe equaled being close to him and being sort of locked up at home. My mother, on the other hand, I think she did it to control our behavior, because in her mind, our decisions and our behavior was a direct reflection on her. And that was really damaging for a really long time. Unfortunately, they were authoritarian, but they were authoritarian in a chaotic environment. There was no structure. There were no boundaries that were healthy or appropriate for our age. Any age, really. And it really it didn't set me up with any skills. I didn't know how to structure my day. I didn't know time management skills. There was none of that because there was so much chaos in the home. But there was also that pressure to be perfect. So when I inevitably failed because I didn't have any of these skills, there was a lot of self-loathing. And so I've had to work through that a lot. I had to become more aware of my strengths and weaknesses and understanding those and accepting them, and really accepting and understanding other people's strengths and weaknesses also, because it didn't just affect me, it affected the way that I see everybody else. So that's what, I'm growing every day, and, I'm working through it, but that's where I'm coming from. So thanks for listening.